U.S. government releasing data that reveals a disturbing trend in cruises crime. Crime is on the rise in Carnival is talking about cruisers getting scammed, taken advantage of, just trying to do the right thing. Yeah, that and a whole lot more. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Little Loga. I'm your host, Tony, here to talk you through everything going on in cruising. It's a cruise show. It's For Your Face on the 25th of May, 2025. It's a Sunday. I was going to take the day off and come back and do the show tomorrow on Monday, but that's the big Memorial Day celebration. And Memorial Day is the day that we show honor and remember those who lost their life in the service of this country in the United States. I have an uncle that I never met that died a couple years before I was born, tragically killed in a friendly fire incident in Vietnam. My Uncle Ricky, bless my mom, you can still see the pain in my grandmother before she passed, the pain of loss. And he volunteered, just out there thinking, you know, he needed to do right by his country. If the country was going to war, he was going to war. And that's really what Memorial Day is for. Of course, you know, a lot of folks get a day off and we're going to have people over and have hot dogs and all that stuff. But the heart of it is we enjoy those freedoms, the freedoms to take a day off and eat a hot dog because of the blood spilled by those that protect our freedom. So certainly enjoy the day off, but also be mindful of why we have it. New data coming out from the Department of Transportation that crime is on the rise on cruise ships. And then beyond that, there is a major publication that went at cruise line that I didn't see this coming. First, let's talk about the data that was released by the Department of Transportation. They're saying that in the first 3 months of 2025, the incidence of crime on cruise ships are high. Now, these incidents are alleged, and the reason that they are being reported to the government is because of a law passed in 2010. The law is called the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act, and it outlined that certain crimes had to be reported to the government so that the FBI could investigate. Of course, the FBI jurisdiction is established by a few factors, primarily if you're a U.S. citizen, if the alleged crime occurs up to 12 miles off of the coast of the United States, or if the vessel that you're on is being operated by a U.S. Ship operator. But being a citizen is the main reason that the FBI has the jurisdiction. The numbers are shocking a little bit. 48 incidents of alleged crime on cruise ships during the time period. This is 48 alleged events reported to the FBI. That means these are the only incidents that were reported that meet the criteria. So that may not encompass everything. Sadly and unfortunately, 33 of these incidents are of the assault variety, the inappropriate touching and other stuff assault variety. Another category they track is assaults with serious bodily injury, 7 of those in the first 3 months. And then they also had 7 thefts greater than $10,000. So a variety of crime. And I'm not talking about this to scare anyone. I do want to make a couple of key points, but let's just put it in perspective. 37.1 million people are expected to go on cruises in 2025. If we divide that by 4, that's 9 million cruisers. So what we're saying, potentially in Q1 of 2025, 9 million people went on cruises, and we ended up with 48, alleged incidents of crime on cruise ships, and 48 just a little higher than last year, but certainly higher than a few years ago. And so it's important to look at this data and say, is there a disturbing trend going on? Certainly that's what these cruise companies have to look at to assess the safety on cruise ships. And, we're safe on cruise ships based on those numbers. But, data like this does tell us as individual people that we need to make sure we're heightening our awareness, our situational awareness. It's simple stuff on a cruise ship. Alcohol gets a lot of people in trouble. People do crazy things when they drink too much. And if there's predators out there looking for prey, don't be that, okay? Have a buddy system. If you're going out drinking on a cruise ship, Make sure that somebody knows where you're at or where you're supposed to be, or go out with somebody else. It's not always possible, but make sure, even if, say you've stayed out late into the night, the cruise ship will help you get back to your cabin. You can ask for assistance to get back to your cabin. It's, again, there's bad people out there looking to do bad things to good people. And that's true on land, and that's true on cruise ships. Be careful out there. There's also a ton of other stories that we've covered over the last few months about crew members doing despicable things when it comes to kids and images of kids. That seems to be a disturbing trend. And then this article here, I was kind of shocked to read it. But we've got Newsweek going specifically at Disney Cruise Line, talking about their increase of those assaults, saying that prior to 2023, the number reported usually was like 1 to 3 a year. But then in 2023, Disney had 15 assaults reported, 18 assaults in 2024, and then 5 of the numbers that we talked about earlier in the first quarter of 2025 related to Disney cruise ships. Look, there's crime everywhere. And again, I think the reason I bring this up is sometimes we're lulled into a false sense of security on cruise ships, thinking that only good people are cruising with us. It's just not the case. So keep this in the back of your mind. Obviously, don't live in fear, but be informed when you're traveling, and just like anytime you go anywhere else, do what you have to do to stay safe. All right, next let's talk about the only cruise ship that I know of that could do, legitimately, legally do a cruise from nowhere from the U.S., from the major cruise lines. Of course, we're talking about NCL's Pride of America. There's this old 1800s law, the Passenger Vessel Services Act, that says any foreign flagged vessel, if they want to do business in the United States, if they're going to cruise out of the United States or travel with passengers out of the United States, they have to go to a foreign country before they return to the United States, somewhere there on their itinerary. Every cruise ship out there, because it's advantageous from a lot of different reasons, labor laws, other things like that, they're flagged not in the United States. Except one, the Pride of America. It flies a U.S. flag. It has primarily a U.S. crew, and a good part of that cruise ship was built in the United States. Pride of America is in the news because it has gone into dry dock. The ship originally built in 2005. Of course, it's had dry docks along the way, but this most recent one started on May the 9th. It's getting some updates, some new cabins, but the one I really like is they are getting a new Starbucks on board, which is quite exciting. It's not going to be out of service very long. It will be returning May the 31st, 2025 to get back to those Hawaiian sailings. Have you ever been on Pride of America? Have you ever been to Hawaii? Do you recommend it? I don't know. I'm tempted, but not tempted enough to do it yet. What do you think? Leave a comment below. I guess speaking of dry docks, we can mention this story also. We talked maybe a week ago about the MSC Meraviglia making a surprise appearance in Portland, Maine. And Portland, Maine's a cruise stop. Normally, folks are getting off the cruise ship there. Well, Meraviglia went to Portland, Maine with nobody on board because they had a broken engine issue. They've been doing sailings out of New York, so they went up the coast there to Maine to get their propeller repaired. And well, the repairs are done. And so the MSC Meraviglia is back in service doing its normal sailings from New York. And then if we're going to talk about being in service, let's talk about a service anniversary. The Celebrity Eclipse is celebrating 15 years in service. Originally christened back in April of 2010, this 122,000-ton vessel was built in Meyer Werft in Papenburg, Germany, 2,850 guest capacity, and 15 years in service. Congratulations! Congratulations, Celebrity Eclipse. Now, I got to tell you about a new way the Carnival cruisers are getting scammed, and it's despicable because it plays on cruisers' fears of not having what they need. But before I do that, let's take a break. Dance break. Get up. Get up. disco funk fusion there. That was called Seasons Change by Ryan James Carr. Ryan James Carr. Now, I also just want to let you know that, I haven't traveled in like 50 days, just trying to rehab my knee a little bit, but that doesn't mean I haven't been pursuing my hobbies at home. I did post a new Lego video on the Loca Bricks Lego channel yesterday, and today I posted a new vinyl record video. I went to Target. I heard there was clearance. Go check out my other two YouTube channels. I'll leave them linked in the description, or just search for my name, Tony Barnett. That'll take you to the vinyl stuff. Or search for Loca Bricks, LOCABRICKS. That'll take you to the Lego stuff. Carnival brand ambassador John Hill has taken to his social media to warn Carnival cruisers about a new scam where scammers are preying on passengers that are worried about their travel documentation. We talked about it, where there were a bunch of cruisers that were traveling from Portugal to the UK, who, when they got to Portugal, found out they weren't going to be able to go on their cruise because they did not obtain the travel visa that is required to get into the UK. It's really easy to do. There's an app that you can put on your phone, or you can go to the uk.gov site. It's really straightforward, but some people are getting harangued by people that are saying it's not really straightforward and that you need our assistance. The authorization when you do it on your own is about $16, but John Heald said that he'd been notified by people that they paid anywhere between $90 to $200, and that they're not even sure that the authorization that they got is real, that they look fake. So two things. Number one, if you're traveling to the UK, you've got to get that ETA, so you're not going to be able to get around it. That's number one. That's the big one. And number two, in getting that travel authorization, just do it yourself. UK.gov, put the ETA app on your phone, do it through there. It's really straightforward. Don't pay somebody hundreds of dollars when you don't need to. The big question is this: how are you or your family impacted by Memorial Day? Feel free to use that first comment if you want to speak the name of someone that you want to give honor to. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Subscribe for more. It's Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.